There were a lot of celebs last night were involved, of course, with the full Monty in memory of a loved one that they had lost to cancer. And while it's meant to be the most wonderful time of the year for many of people out there, you are grieving for a lost one, and Christmas can be anything but happy. And this is something that has been playing in all of our minds. And I think watching that last night, you're constantly reminded that as much as we're all supposed to be very happy at Christmas, and hopefully indeed you are, lots of people aren't for a whole host of reasons, but certainly the loss of someone at Christmas is particularly difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw last night my friend Janie, who's the second wife of one of my ex-husbands, and we were all really, really close friends, and his illness was so long and he died from cancer, and this is her second Christmas without him. And I was just thrilled that she came round to my house and stayed with me, and we had a fun night with a load of laughs. And it brought home to me that a lot of people will be alone this Christmas. And I mean, people who haven't got... Well, I have no relatives left. I mean, my mum's dead, my dad's dead, my sister's dead, and my only nephew is dead. And I try not to dwell on it at Christmas time and to think, oh, yeah, because the more everybody goes on about all their relatives around the table, I think you need to think, actually, before you do too much of that blabbing about the wonderful big family Christmas, because there are going to be several million people completely alone this Christmas. Some of it will be by choice, but the vast majority will be alone because that's how they've ended up.
Yes, and a lot of people, you know, have lost relatives this year. A lot of people watching, I'm quite sure some people, you know, battling their condition, whatever. I know the first Christmas after Karen died in April, and so came to Christmas, and actually it was Cliff Richard was said to me one day, how are you going to manage Christmas? And I hadn't actually even thought about it. And I went, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know whether to write a card, not write a card, buy a present, not buy a present. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, did Karen like Christmas? And I said, she absolutely loved it. So he said, why don't you go bigger and better then for Karen and her two boys? And I remember standing back thinking, why don't I? And so, because I thought this is going to be like so miserable and so heartbreaking, which of course it was to a point. But that year I had 6 trees, a bit like the studio. I had, you know, 6-foot-tall Santas all waving, all dancing. You know, you would have hated them, but I loved them.
I know, I like a waving Santa.
Yeah, exactly.
Inflatable.
And so what I would say is that gave me the key to every anniversary, every birthday, every time that in my head I go, why don't I go bigger and better for Karen and her boys? And the thing I would say to you, if you're watching today and you think, I will never, ever, ever get over this loss, I can tell you from experience that you never do get over the loss, but what you do learn to do eventually, that big black hole always remains, but you do learn to live around it and through it, and in the end, you do learn to cope. So I understand that hopelessness because I've been through it myself, but I tell you, you will in the end be able to cope with it eventually.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a difficult Christmas this year for my daughter because she lost her dad this year in August. And he had been battling cancer for quite a few years, and he had got COVID during the lockdown, and he then had to stop his chemo, and which then the cancer went secondary into his spine. So she lost him. So it's going to be a really difficult year for her. But I think not only like if you're on your own, but sometimes you can be in a house full of people but still feel lonely.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's going to be a hard one for her, but we'll try our best to make it as happy as we can. And we're all going away for New Year. So
that's good. But I just want people watching who perhaps know of someone who's going to be by themselves to ring them up. You know, that's the least you can do.
Oh, knock on the door.
Knock on the door, shout through the letterbox.
Shout through her... I know what you'll tell them to do.
No, I think it's really, really important. And, I mean, I've been alone, not on Christmas Day, but some weekends, and nobody's called. And I thought, why don't you call me? But the thing is, you have to make the first thing. Yeah, you have to call out. And then
but, Janet, you're absolutely right in everything you say, but we all know, if you think about it, we all know of somebody who's older, maybe vulnerable, maybe alone. it's so easy in a way to share food or
Yeah,
to have a cup of
absolutely.
tea or to invite them in, something.
Just
We all
something.
have an aged relative or just a neighbour. And so if we all did that little bit extra, I think it would be fantastic.
It would make a massive difference because it isn't just watching the television in the lead up to Christmas. Every single commercial ad has got a big family around a table.
that gets
everyone's
to me.
glorious and
And-
happy.
yeah.
And of course, it's painting a picture that, yes, that might be the case if you're lucky enough, but it certainly isn't for many, many people.
I think that's an important point.
It is absolutely right. Well, if you're struggling to cope with grief or indeed loneliness this Christmas, there are lots of helplines listed on the ITV website, which should be on your screen now, yes.